And we're going to get started in about 2 minutes. 2 minute countdown. Here we go. Now, while we do that, 20 seconds. Here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready. And we are about to go live. I forgot to put some on my lips, but it's okay. I don't think we too shy. Peace, peace. We are officially live, getting started. I'm so excited. Mindful Mondays are here. So I want to start off with just reading quick overview. Think of this as kind of like your, you know, all the descriptions you see before the show starts and the disclaimers. That's what this is. All right, so let's get ready. Mindful Mondays. Didn't mean to use that one. I was for my applause. There we go. All right, had to find it. This is live, so bear with me. Bear with me. If you are watching live, go ahead and drop in the comments where you're from. If you're not, still drop in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And so, Mindful Mondays. This experience is designed to create a predictable, safe, and grounding weekly space that supports nervous system regulation, intentional reflection, and personal empowerment. Through simple, repeated practices, you're invited to just pause, breathe, and reflect. Mindful Mondays allow you to interrupt that autopilot and reconnect with yourself while being introduced to the Mindful Moments lifestyle, a framework that makes mindfulness simple and for real life. All right, here we go. Here we go. So, the theme for today's Mindful Monday is the power of the pause. I'm just going to reposition some stuff here just a little bit. And if you're new here, we'll do a little introduction a little bit later. But one of the things that you will know about me is that I am authentic. So if you like it raw, you're gonna love it here. And meaning I am who I am, I'm gonna show up as that way. So not expecting things to be perfect. The live I will edit a you won't hear some of the things. So hopefully you laugh, hopefully you learn something. Today is the power of the pause. The power of the pause. All right. So I'm Peace Framily. I'm so glad that you are here for, especially for our very first Mindful Mondays. Whether you're joining in live or you're watching the replay, peace in, peace in. So let's just take a moment to settle in. Maybe you might want to grab something to drink and ground your body as much as you can. And you might have heard that before, but when I say ground your body, this means if you're sitting down, if you're laying down, just really make sure that you're grounded through whatever is supporting you. I'm sitting in a chair. Maybe you're sitting on a couch. Maybe, I don't know, right? But wherever you are, really just trying to ground down. If you're able to allow the soles of your feet to relax and press against the floor. And so we're going to start with our pause, okay? And so as I was saying earlier, if you're able, just place both of your feet on the floor, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw. Just want to inhale slowly through the nose, breathing in as much as you can, taking a pause at the top, and then slowly begin to exhale and breathe out through the mouth. And now we're going to continue that for a few more moments. So just inhale through the nose, hold it at the top, and exhale slowly out the mouth. Again, inhale, close your eyes if that's comfortable, pausing at the top, exhale. Last round, inhale, and exhale as slowly as you can out of the mouth. Notice that experience is really can be that simple, right? Just taking the time to pause and just breathe. How did that feel? Right? So already the pause is working. So in the comments, if you're ready, let me know. Let me know if y'all ready. We're gonna keep it moving. And so again, today's Mindful Monday theme is the power of the pause. A pause is not quitting. Okay. A pause is not avoidance. A pause is a very intentional space between stimulus and response. Stress is inevitable. We just have to be able to manage it. And usually stress is caused by that stimuli, and the response, right, is what can lead to that burnout, that compassion fatigue, and all those sometimes even physical ailments in our body and illnesses in our body, right? And so, especially in this holiday and winter season that we are in and getting through, right? A lot of times it's time for the hustle and the bustle. The nights are getting longer, the days are shorter. It's just like so much to do in so little time. Like you're always on go, right? And if not physically, then maybe mentally with everything you got going on and every single decision that you got to make, right? It takes a lot of mental capacity. But the pause is where you are able to get that clarity, where you're able to regulate that nervous system. And it's the choice, right? And that's where it lives. So when you pause, you're giving yourself that permission to respond instead of reacting, right? So we're not being impetuous. And it's so much power in that. It's so much power in a pause because you have choice, right? You decide how you show up, how you act, what you're going to do, what you're going to say. Once you do or say something, you can't change it or take it back. So now I'm sure we all remember that time we probably should have been our time or took the time to pause before we said something to that man, said something to that woman, said something to somebody at work, right? That parent, that client, that student. But not always because we're being silent or even in conflict or upset when you're upset, right? Sometimes you just got to pause, just allow yourself a moment to make sure that you are letting that executive state take the lead like it's supposed to. We're gonna get in a little bit into the brain science a little bit, right? And one of my favorite things I say all the time: feelings are not facts. Okay, feelings aren't facts. No, they give us a lot of information, but they're not facts. And so we often sometimes get caught up in that, right? We get caught up in the feelings, we get caught up in the heat of the moment. All right. So moving forward with our pause, we're gonna dig a little bit to the brain science. So kind of talk about that thing, right? The power in the pause. Now we're gonna use the brain science, right? And why it's so important and so connected. Because here's the thing, right? This isn't a mindset issue, right? It's not your mindset. It's literally a nervous system response. Okay. So according to this is one of my favorite brain state models to use, the conscious discipline model. There are three brain states, and they tend to represent it of a fifth. So I'll kind of model that. At the bottom, right, or the back of your head, is your safety brain. In the middle, you have your emotional brain, and then at the top, you have your executive or logical brain, right? And so optimally, they all work together, close fist, while the executive state up top takes the lead. Okay. So here's the three things, right? Safety brain, emotional brain, executive brain. These are things we all need for survival. We need to feel safe. We need to feel loved, and we need to be challenged. Okay. But see, here's where stress comes in, right? Because again, it's stress is inevitable. Stress is our bodies. It's a complex reaction, right? It happens on both a physical and a chemical level. So what's happening, right, is the stressors. So the stimuli, right? Something there's stressors in your life. It's activating that amygdala, right? And that's what triggers the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. And it happens in the hypothalamus. And that's what releases the adrenaline and the cortisol to prepare for threat. And that also heightens the stress level. But again, our brain is made for us to survive. Life wasn't always complicated. We just need to be able to keep ourselves safe. But what happens is the brain doesn't know a real threat versus a perceived threat. All right. So basically, our emotional brain is activated. And then once that happens, we're triggering our survival brain to take the lead. And that's releasing all those chemicals for us to do that necessary work. But when we're constantly rushing, multitasking, managing stress, our nervous system, it's staying in that survival mode. It's staying in that fight or flight mode. And that's the sympathetic nervous system, right? So in this state, your body is thinking. Remember, the brain doesn't know if it's real or if it's not. But your body thinks danger is present. So your brain is signaling your body to do what it needs to do. Now, what does that look like sometimes, right? Sometimes your breath becomes a little shallow. Maybe it becomes a little quick and heavy, right? Your patience shortens. You might be real irritable, right? Your decision making narrows. Maybe you can't make a decision, or maybe you're like, whatever, or maybe you're just saying yes to everything. Maybe you saying no to everything, right? So a pause is what signals safety. Even if it's 10 to 30 seconds, it's going to activate that parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the part that is responsible for our involuntary things, right? Certain things like digestion and regulation and things like that. So this is why like slowing your breathing down, grounding your body, taking that time to pause, stopping before responding is actually changing how your brain and body is functioning, right? So the pause is not a weird thing. It's not a soft thing. It's strategic regulation. You ever been in a conversation and before you respond, somebody say, that's interesting. Let me think about that and get back to you, right? That's a perfect example of that. Sometimes it's that obvious. Sometimes it's not that obvious. Sometimes it's taking a pause, literally mid conversation, taking a breath, and not saying anything at all. Or maybe it is having a response, but you're not reacting, right? The pause allows the body and the brain to do what it needs to do so that you are not reacting and that you are able to respond. Now we're moving into the breathe, right? Pause. We talked about kind of what mindful Mondays are. We talked about today's theme, the power of the pause, got into a little bit of the brain science behind it. Love, love, love brain science. It's just like so amazing when you really learn like how your body really works and how your brain works. And then going off on a small tangent here, right? But the brain is has what's called neuroplasticity, right? So just like a baby doesn't know. Baby starts off at blank space. They don't know anything about this world, but they learn through experience. How do they experience? Through their senses. They're looking at everything, right? Their head begins to turn. They're starting to touch things. And what do babies do when they touch things? Touch it and put it right in their mouth, right? Because they're using those senses to learn things. And the great thing about the brain is you can always learn something, but you can also relearn something, and it creates new pathways, right? And that's just the amazing thing about it. So we're just going to practice moving into the breathe, something that you can use this week. And we're going to use that in this moment, but you can use this work at home in difficult moments. And it's really even better to do it in moments of calm so that when you really need to do it in the heat of the moment, you have that muscle. That muscle has been built to let you use it when you really need it. And so today I'm calling this one a three breath, and it's an intentional pause. Okay. Three breath intentional pause. Three breath intentional pause. All right. So first thing we're going to do again, make sure you're grounded, sitting comfortably, grounded through whatever is supporting you, whatever part of the earth, whether you're on the floor, chair, wherever you are. And we're going to breathe in through your nose for a 4 count. We're going to pause with intention, right? So just say that to yourself, right? Like I am taking care of myself. I'm tapping into the power of the pause. I am regulating my nervous system, right? Allow that to be your anchor. We're gonna hold it for 2 seconds, not forceful, just being present. And then we'll exhale with the release, right? So releasing things that may be causing you to react, maybe releasing some of those stresses and those triggers right in this moment. And we'll do that together for about 6 times. So we're gonna inhale with awareness for 4 counts. We're gonna pause with intention for 2 counts. Then we're gonna exhale with release for 6 counts. All right. So here we go. If it's comfortable, you can close your eyes or you can find just something in front of you to focus on. Remember, relaxing the shoulders, grounding down. I want to breathe in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it and release. Inhale, hold it, and exhale it out. I'm going to keep doing that a few more times. Breathing in, holding it, release. Breathe in, hold, and release. Inhale, hold, exhale. One more time. Inhale with awareness. Pause with intention. Exhale with release. And then here, just take a moment just to notice how you feel. Notice your physical body. What's your physical body might be feeling in this moment? Maybe your shoulders, your jaw. Noticing that inner dialogue, whatever thoughts might be coming up right now. And so, again, this is a tool that you can use before sending an email, before responding to a student or client or colleague, before reacting in a meeting. And of course, you can adapt it to your unique needs, right? You can maybe do a longer pause, maybe a longer exhale, maybe equal counts of all three, maybe shorter. It do what works for you. Just do it, practice it, be mindful, wherever, whenever, however, right? You don't need permission to pause, but your nervous system needs it. You don't need permission to do it, but it's something that your nervous system genuinely needs. And you may even notice the tone of my voice has gotten maybe a little slower, maybe a little softer, even just after me doing that with you and guiding you through that breath, right? And so as we go and close out, get ready to close out for our reflection and affirmation. So pause, get some breath, and now for reflection. If you have something to write with, great. If not, just reflect on it. Here are the prompts for today. And I think I'll be able to actually put these on the screen. Here we go. And so the first prompt is, what moment in my day would more, benefit most from a pause? So you just think about how your day goes. What are some moments that could really benefit, right? Benefit most from a pause. And if this is a practice that you're new to, for this next prompt that's about to come up, leaving it on the screen just in case you want to write it down for a moment. What moment in my says A, should be day. What moment in my day would benefit most from a pause, right? Next prompt. What happens when I don't pause? What happens when I don't pause? What usually happens, right? And again, think of those moments when you don't do what you need to do, when you don't take that pause. Maybe you might think of something like, "Oh, I regretted that," or "I shouldn't have said that," or "If I would have stopped and thought about it a little bit longer, that conversation might would have went a little bit different." Think about things like that. And the last prompt for today, because again, mindfulness made simple. It doesn't have to be hours and hours of meditation or journaling, yoga and Pilates and all those things, right? It doesn't have to be that. So thinking about the pause, right, and the power of that pause and what it really does for our nervous system regulation. What could shift? Even if you gave yourself even just 10 seconds of space to pause, right? Because you don't have to fix everything and you're not behind. You're learning. We're learning, right? I'm including myself in this because it's a never ending journey, right? It gets better with time, like fine wine, hey. But you don't, you know what I'm saying? You're learning how to listen to yourself. And that's powerful. That's so powerful. Because everything you need is already inside you. And so let's affirm it together. You can choose to say this with me, repeat after me, say it silently, choose it. But I want you to say, I give myself permission to pause. I give myself permission to pause. My pause protects my peace. And I'm definitely carrying that one to me with me this week. My pause protects my peace. And then last one, I can move forward without rushing myself. I can move forward without rushing myself. So I invite you to carry that with you this week. Pause before reacting. Pause before over explaining. That's the main one I'm guilty of right there. That over explaining. Like, well, this is a disclaimer. No, just pause before doing that. And then pause before you end up abandoning your own needs. I'm gonna say that again. Pause before you end up abandoning your own needs. Okay. And so as we close out, make sure you're following us, Mindful Moments Lifestyle, on all social media platforms each week, right here, same time, in roughly the same place. Same place, definitely. Roughly the same time on Mondays. And something you'll hear me say or refer to a lot. We don't say self care because that's a given. We always take care of ourselves. That's what we're supposed to do. But we focus on holistic wellness, right? And supporting our whole self, mind, body, and soul, everything. Okay? Because we selfish about that wellness. You are enough. You are loved. You matter. If any moments today resonated with you, let me know in the comments and type in the word pause. And then share this with someone else. Especially if you are a Black educator or professional navigating stress, burnout, or high expectations. This space right here is for you. It's for us. So make sure you subscribe and follow for more moments, mindful Mondays next week, same time, same place. For more nervous system support, intentional practice that you can actually use in real life. So again, don't forget, come back next Monday, same time, same intention, slightly different time. And until then, protect your peace by honoring the pause. Peace, y'all. Knowledge is power. Power is protection. Protect your peace and choose your words wisely. Why? Because there's power in the tongue. If you want to quote that, that's on me. That's on me. Peace out, y'all. Till next time.